I'm going to admit something that I never told anyone else before. Something I've been too afraid to admit ever since high school, really. I love anime. Freshman year, a girl walked up to me as I was sketching out Psycho and Naomi from Corpse Party. I really hope no one can hear me say all this. She saw what I was drawing and she asked me if I was one of those anime freaks, to which I defiantly scoffed and said no, closing the sketchbook and putting it with my other books. I was so afraid to be branded the freak or the outsider that I was just willing to lie blatantly to people's faces, even though the evidence was right there in front of them. This isn't relevant. I just find this funny. That same girl that asked me that question, we later made out senior year. There's no gimmicks. I just want to show off more of myself and just honestly see how far I've come from watching anime in the summertime at my parents' house. I want to share what anime I was watching when I was a teenager and just have a reason to talk about some of the most influential stories I've ever come across. A timeline of some core memories, observing the very foundation that was these shows that I watched when I was younger. So get cozy, get comfortable.
I'm gonna show you how I almost robbed myself of some of the most stylish and greatest stories ever told, all just for the sake of better social stats, and how there's just nothing else like it. Shout out to Toonami, by the way. If it wasn't for that block, I wouldn't have known half of these shows. Stories in anime scratch a certain itch that I don't think anyone can put into words for me. The most accurate way to describe it. With a process like animation, you can easily anticipate what you're gonna see next. With a blank piece of paper, you could put limitless imagination down and map out every minute detail on that page with hardly any restraints. That, combined with talented voice acting, beautiful music, and some of the most beautiful backgrounds and scenes I've ever witnessed, makes for something truly incredible. Shout out to Internet Pit Stop, the man is putting in the work. Also, this will be your one and only disclaimer. I'm gonna be talking about some adult-themed stuff. Also, this isn't gonna be a huge history lesson on the animation studios, the voice actors, none of that. This is just me talking about some shows that I watched when I was a teenager, and I just want to talk about the things that stuck out to me from those past experiences. This hyperfixation started with me cycling through my main circle of comfort Let's Players on YouTube, with some of them playing a little game called The Corpse Party, and then me falling down the rabbit hole of abridged series and internet weebs recommending good shows to me, so I thought I'd listen. After finishing the Let's Plays and trying to fill a spooky-shaped hole that Corpse Party once filled, I started off with the horror genre, watching shows like Future Diary, Another, and High School of the Dead. And I know what you're thinking. I was 13 and zombies were popular in 2012, okay? And why did that opening have to go so hard? But the show that stuck out from the rest, when I was first getting into anime, that scratched that itch, that filled that void that only great stories can leave behind, that made me feel like I was a part of something, a part of a crew, like I was right there with them. Cowboy Bebop puts me in just such a mood, a mindset, making me feel such emotions and a feeling as if being touched by someone from miles away. Genre-bending sci-fi, western, noir into its own genre, Cowboy Bebop. The jazzy, noir, twangy, spaghetti western sounding instruments and seeing Spike and everyone exist in this galaxy of nothing but crime and villainy. It's hard not to feel cool while you're watching Cowboy Bebop. One of the many reasons for this video's existence, and the first main point I really wanted to talk about. Cowboy Bebop has so many side stories and morals, cool-ass themes and aesthetics that have stuck with me to this day. The one moment that stuck with me, and probably everyone else too, was that ending, man. Something so heavy and philosophical that manages to say a lot without muttering a single word for the next 5 minutes. At the ending, where Spike collapses on the stairs and it pans to show the credits, you sit there for 5+ minutes just to see if Spike is actually dead, to see if there's proof of his finality. And at the end, you see one star burn out in the night sky, just as Laughing Bull dreamt would happen.
All living things, every being that walks and breathes, Each has its own star. And when a life ends, the star falls. His star is about to fall. I have dreamed it.
This is ridiculous. What am I doing here?
Do not fear death. Death is always at our side. When we show fear, it jumps at us faster than light. But if we do not show fear, it casts its eye upon us gently, and then guides us into infinity.
And just like that, Spike's gone. Before Spike's death, Jet said something to Spike along the lines of,
Men only think about the past right before their death, as if they were searching frantically for proof that they were alive.
I feel like in those 5 minutes that you're waiting to see Spike is alive or not, you feel like that's what you were doing. You were trying to find evidence that he was alive. You are searching frantically for proof that this person that you've got to know and get so close to is not going to be gone. No main character to project yourself onto. You might stare into the night sky watching the credits, searching for proof that you yourself are alive. You're going to carry that weight of losing someone, and with a burning question in the back of your mind. What am I going to do now? The last lyrics from the track, Blue, that play as the end credits appear, are this.
Everything is clearer now. Life is just a dream, you know, that's never ending. I'm ascending.
Fuck. Like, what the fuck? Shows like Cowboy Bebop are reasons why I want to write and create stuff. Bebop showed me how intimate I can make people feel from anywhere with just impactful pieces of art. I've seen a handful of video essays on Cowboy Bebop before, so if anyone else has known this or called it out, that's cool. I just thought of it while listening to this track in my car.
I'm ascending.
Don't go anywhere. We're only a third of the way through the video, and we still got 2 more shows to talk about. Next time on Whatever. That was my best Spike impression. How was that? Great sci-fi like Bebop, and while I'm opening up Doctor Who, shaped my adolescence, ideals, and morals that I still hold to this day. Rewatching these shows for this video was like a nice little reminder of all the things I've learned from these shows that I've applied to my everyday life. Shows like Cowboy Bebop showed me that a piece of art can make me feel such strong, complex emotions, even dressed up with guns, cigarettes, and cool clothes. Not just changing my views on TV and movies, but with all art in general. I can understand paintings now? In between Bebop and the next show we're going to talk about, I was watching Shiki and shows like Higurashi. They were a very refreshing look back at the roots of my anime addiction. Horror anime was always a hit or miss with me, and I think a lot of Western audiences can agree. What Western audiences find terrifying never always correlates well in anime. That's just my 2 cents. However, another show that got me hooked on a feeling. A show where excellent character writing and showing a little humanity in the face of evil are dressed up in guns, cigarettes, and cool clothes. That show was Black Lagoon.
Things are gonna get crazy!
This show was just plain dang old fun. Season 1 was great, don't get me wrong, but I binge watched all of Season 2 in one night. It was that good. The music, the characters, reoccurring and new, and the action are on display the entire time. I also just want to talk about how funny the show is.
It was nice to meet you, mister. Hopefully we'll meet again someday. We could have a picnic.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Really wonderful.
I am here to take your life. And who, you ask, is the specter that stands before you? My name is Wizard. Lawton the Wizard. And while I have no grudge against you...
Too good. Second main point of this video, personally, I didn't like the OVA. I just wanted more, I guess. Maybe an ending not clouded in ambiguity, wanting nothing more than a concrete ending for the Lagoon Company. I'm still holding out hope, though, for some more animated Black Lagoon. And maybe saying that's akin to saying I'm still waiting for Hotline Miami 3. I don't think there is a good way to end a story like Black Lagoon. Maybe it's like what Benny said. Stories like this don't have happy endings. Rock, the main character, at the end of the OVA, thinks he's got everyone in the palm of his hand. And long story short, he's about as dangerous as a blank. All show and no real damage. Rock learns he was nothing more than a pawn in someone else's scheme. It was a wake-up call for who he really is, what kind of man he wants to be. He's left with that same question of, what am I gonna do now? Pain is good. You learn from the pain. And maybe that's the point of this ending, and it's nothing deeper than that. Much like Black Lagoon laid out the groundwork for some wholesome core memories in my teenage summers, I'd like to share a story about a trip with my family I took when I was a kid.
With any good structure, you need a good foundation. That's why I think I chose to talk about Black Lagoon for this video. It's like a total recall for my brain when I think of Black Lagoon. Go back to a time where I had no responsibilities. All I had to worry about was just getting home from school and watching anime. I kind of want to talk about another foundational aspect of a core memory of mine, about a family trip I took. One of my favorites, I'll put some pictures on here. I think I just really enjoyed that memory, hanging out with kids my age. And that was kind of a new, exciting thing for me. And it was very fun. I love my cousins. They're like siblings to me. My cousin, he brought his PlayStation 2 to this family trip. We rented a beach house. Me and my family, my mom's side, we went to South Carolina. There was one day, so I was a little kid, as you can see. There was an indoor pool in this beach house that we rented. I didn't know how to swim. I had water wings. I was playing with some pool toys or something. I don't know how I did this, but long story short, I slipped and fell into the pool. And I didn't have my water wings on or anything. I almost drowned. It was either learn how to swim in like a split second or drown. So I chose to kick and move my arms as much to stay afloat until my dad saw me and got me out of the pool. And pretty traumatic moment, if I do say so myself. I was thrown into a situation I wasn't ready for. I kind of proved to myself that day that I can kind of get myself out of anything, just sheer will to live. And how Thug 2 plays into this, it was the last thing me and my cousin did before they left. I grew closer to my family then, and I kind of grew closer to myself on this trip too. And it just kind of left me with that feeling of, what now? I also think that's why I didn't really like the OVA's ending. It shows you what happens after the happily ever after. Rock learns that he's just a blank, and with this new information, he can either build from it and become the person he wants to be, or remain in the twilight. I've seen too many people have these epiphanies and know what they need to do, and they just actively won't do it. Arduous, the journey is to find this knowledge that will make you happier and better and healthier, and thinking that's the journey, that's it. They don't have to actively like apply it in their life now or anything. It's more than just knowing, it's also acting. All those things that happened to me in the past on that trip, I now am responsible for what I do with this information that I now have. Sometimes I feel like we need a kick in the pants, that reminder. I need a kick in the pants sometimes.
I value my cousin so much for showing me Thug 2. After Black Lagoon, I was watching shows like Haruhi Suzumiya, Attack on Titan, stuff like that, just to say I'll watch them. It feels like I was trying to play catch up and staying relevant to any weebs that I might run into in the wild. And these aren't bad shows, don't get me wrong. This just leads me to say, I used to have this huge list of anime that I curated over time, stuff that I just thought I had to watch. I'd always try to rush through it for some reason, as quickly as possible. Obviously, forcing yourself to do something is not enjoyable. So watching anime quickly got tiresome, with me finishing one show and then adding 8 new ones that looked interesting. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So I gave up on tackling the anime watch list after being burnt out and took an indefinite hiatus. Finished up high school, enjoying life, spending too much time in New Horizons, but I spent so much time on this game and it looks fucking good. I would still watch anime every now and then as time went on. Your Name, A Silent Voice, Parasite, Your Lie in April, but nothing was reigniting that spark that I first felt with Cowboy Bebop. Bocchi the Rock was an anime I watched in late 2023, And if you know me, I'm always late, and late to the hype train no less. But I'm glad I watched this when I did. If it wasn't for this video by Shoes in the Dryer, I wouldn't have given Bocchi a chance. This is such a good video, you guys should really check it out. Watching Bocchi honestly re-sparked that thing I was trying to find. It finally sufficed that scratch that need itched. I feel like personally Bocchi just came out of nowhere. It was so familiar and good and just awesome. This show sparks a feeling of hopefulness and inspiration to become the person that I want to be, and more so inspired to make some motherfucking music. There's an episode in particular that I really want to hone in on. Really speaks to a lot of creatives and writers, and just, I don't know, it's a really good episode. Bocchi is trying to write lyrics for this new song for her band. And instead of being more honest and sincere with the lyrics, she tries to shoot for a more commercially successful song lyric. She spends day and night stressing about this and doesn't really know where to go. So she goes and sees her bandmate, and they have some back and forth about the lyrics and if Bocchi even likes these lyrics.
私昔は別のバンドにいたんだ。そのバンドの青臭いけどまっすぐな歌詞が好きだったんだ。でも売れるために必死になってどんどん歌詞を売れ線にして、それが嫌になったからやめたんだ。個性捨てたら死んでるのと一緒だよ。
This encourages her to just write what she wants to write, just unapologetic Bocchi. And then we are treated to this gem of a scene.
ぼっちちゃんの力作拝見しましょう。暗すぎるかも。確かに暗いね。りょう先輩。でもぼっちらしい。少ないかもしれないけど、誰かに深く刺さるんじゃないかな。
Hearing her say that was everything. Oh, if you're not just jazzed after hearing that, I don't know, man. As a musician, as someone that's trying to make a name for himself, like that, it feels good to hear. Well, vastly different from Cowboy Bebop, using multiple styles of animation and multimedia, any criticism directed at the band is always constructive and pushes them forward to do better. It's relatable and a feel-good time all around. This one's pretty funny too. Because of Bocchi, it got me back into watching new shows and stories. If it wasn't for that video showing me that Bocchi exists, this video would not even exist probably. Maybe, I don't know.
Moral of the story, don't be ashamed of the things you like. If you know in your heart of hearts that you're a cool and or good person, then most likely the things you like are cool and or good. Remember, you won't tell people you're good. People will tell you. Just think, if I lived for other people's happiness, I would have robbed myself of these experiences that I've been so privileged to get the chance to experience. The beautiful music in anime, let alone the backgrounds, the voice acting, the stories, the characters. And there were a lot of shows that I left out, like a lot. How'd that get up there? It's just another reason why I want to become a composer. So much raw creative energy that I need to let out. And sometimes I just want to do it with no plan laid out in front of me, just because I simply want to. I also want to take this moment to just thank everyone that I surround myself with that are more knowledgeable than me, that have exposed me to just, I don't know, such integral parts of my life. And I don't think there's words that could ever thank those people enough. And I think it'd be weird if I just came up to them and was like, thanks for showing me that. And just let the people I know in my life that I value them, that are just walking, breathing reminders of how good of people we are. I think we can all use a reminder every now and then of past life lessons that we've learned. So I encourage anyone to rewatch old shows you used to love or still love, but haven't seen in a while. And with that said, I hope this video finds you well, and I have reminded you of something you may have forgotten long ago. As for me, since making this video, I started watching new animes again. Zombieland Saga is hilarious, and Samurai Champloo's dope as fuck.
Tyler, I was rewatching your video, and I just realized that the other day I quoted you to you. Oh man, it's proof you were here. I was like, damn. because like the first time I heard it, it like really hit me, and I guess it sat with me so much that I like regurgitated it when I was talking to you, and you're the one that fucking said it in the first place. So that's awesome. But also the faith is a process, bro. That might be my next tattoo. I'm so serious about it. Like, I love that. That's such a good quote. And your video essays are your best content you've made video-wise. I love them. And I cannot wait for the next one. So, hope you're doing great, bud.